Thursday night, December 14, 2017, regular board meeting for the Board of Directors for Sac Metro. We'll start this meeting, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Shannon, would you lead, or Chief Shannon, would you lead us?
Demoted.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. You just stood up with such an eagerness, I couldn't resist picking on you. The Metro Cable announcement, the open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replayed on Saturday, December 16, 2017 at noon, and on Sunday, December 17, 2017 at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Webcast is at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district's website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. We will, now is the time for public comment on matters on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers this evening.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the consent calendar. Do we have any questions on the consent calendar from any of the directors? I'll take a motion on it.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Can we get the vote, please?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, Assistant Chief Hine, we have a peer recognition commendation.
And good evening, President Wood, Directors, Chief Harms, Randall Hine, Assistant Chief Director of EMS. This evening, it's my honor to bring to you a field save that was submitted by one of our members and for a crew that performed outstanding patient care in the field. I'll give you some detail on that. October 28th, 2017, crews from Engine 111 and Medic 111 responded to a 57-year-old female who was complaining of chest pain and was only speaking in 5 to 7 word sentences. The crew initiated a patient assessment. While the patient advised them the chest pain started suddenly in the center of her chest and rated a 10 over 10 on the chest pain scale, the patient stated that she has never had this type of incident before. So the crews initiated further diagnostic testing. They hooked her up to a 12 lead and did monitor her vital signs and found that she was in a cardiac rhythm that was potentially life-threatening. So they proceeded to load her onto the gurney and be able to, as they were moving her out, the patient became unconscious. They were unable to arouse her. And then the patient was moved to the floor and CPR was initiated by the crew. The patient was delivered a single shock via the cardiac monitor. After the shock was begun, CPR was administered once again, and before they stopped CPR, but then at that point she became sluggish. She was able to answer questions appropriately and due to the recognition and aggressive treatment of the crews, the patient was only experiencing nausea as they moved her to the gurney and prepared her for transport to the hospital. The patient remained alert throughout the transport, and the crews continued to monitor her as she was safely delivered to Mercy San Juan Hospital. We followed up and were later informed by one of the nurses at Mercy San Juan that the patient is recovering and wanted Metro Fire's paramedics to know that, quote unquote, they rock. And so it's at this point in time, I'd like to call up the crew of Engine 111, Medic 111, and be able to join Chief Harms. And the members that are coming up here are Captain Parker Wilborn and Engineer Ron Phillips was not able to attend with us this evening. We have Firefighter Paramedic Richard Walker. We have Firefighter Paramedic Matthew Miller. And then Firefighter Paramedic Christopher Lewis, again, was not able to attend. But it's with peer recognition and commendation for an exemplary activity in the field that we want to provide them with this honoree. Congratulations.
There we go. Get in trouble if I don't use the mic there. I'd just like to say thank you to you guys for the work that you've done out there. I know that 111 is quite a ways up there on the northwest side. We run quite a few calls. A lot of times, a lot of the skill you use is to help people kind of figure out, do I need to go to the hospital, do I not need to go, and a lot of times we give out advice. But this day, what I truly believe you did is truly saved a life. And by being there, being prepared, being trained, being functional as a crew, you identified what the problem was, delivered a shock, treated, transported, and the outcome was tremendous. I know there's a lot of calls that we go on that we don't have that outcome, but I do believe that you being there truly made a difference in the holidays of those folks today. So congratulations, and I think on behalf of the directors, all of us would say thank you for what you do out there every day.
Thank you so much, Chief. Chief Hine, thank you for that. I know I've mentioned before, but this and the civilian commendations are my favorite part of what we do up here. So thank you for bringing this up for us. Moving on, the only action item tonight is our election of board officers. I'll turn this over to Clerk Pania.
Good evening, President Wood and directors. As I'm sure all of you are well aware, our last meeting in December, we have the chance to thank our 2017 Executive Committee. So I did want to take a moment and thank each one of you for serving this year. And we get to nominate our 2018 Executive Committee. So we will be looking for the President, Vice President, and Secretary for next year.
But we'll start with nominations for president. Do we have one?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I would like to nominate Director Jim Barnes.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Can I get the vote, please?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Outstanding. One thing I failed to ask, was there any questions of the board of Ms. Pena on this process? No? Okay. Next would be a nomination for a vice president.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Director Jones as the Vice President of the 2018 Board of Directors.
Thank you very much.
Second.
And I've got a second. Can we get the vote, please?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And finally, we need to get a nomination for secretary for the next year's executive board.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for the Secretary position to be Director Sheets.
Second?
I've got a motion, I've got a second. Can we get the vote, please?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Outstanding. Congratulations to you three. Moving on with President's Report, I will say something as I'm leaving. Just want to say thank you to everyone for a good year. I appreciate the confidence of my fellow directors in giving me the opportunity to serve here. Chief Harms, it's been a pleasure working with you this year. Thank you so much for all of your assistance and the assistance from everyone in your staff. John, thanks for all your counsel over the year. One person who nothing would ever get accomplished here has to be thanked, and that would be Melissa. Thank you for everything you do for all of us, because I know, at least from my perspective, I wouldn't know anything going on if it weren't for all the help you give us. And last, to all the men and women of our district, thank you for everything you guys do every day to make our community safe. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Fire Chief's Report. Chief Harms?
Directors, good evening. President Wood, I would ask at the end of the meeting tonight if we could have a moment of silence at the fire down in Southern California today. Unfortunately, we lost a CAL FIRE member was an engineer. I believe the name has just been released, but he was an engineer out of the San Diego area. And if we could, at the end of the meeting tonight, have a moment of silence and in respect for his death. As far as the fire chief's report to the board, we have a new hire that is just starting with us. Is Alex Vasquez is here. He's working in the help desk area, replacing DeJuan Thomas, who recently just got married and has moved to Ohio. So we wish her well on her adventure there. In November, we had a reinstatement of firefighter paramedic John Casera. John had left and went down to Southern California for a while and wanted to come back to the district, and we had some sits down and an opening, and he had left in very good standing, so we're very happy to have John back. We will enter into the retirement season here. We have 3 tonight to talk about, and at the next meeting we'll have a number of other of that experience, which is pretty normal at this time of the year. But Jeff Dornbush, with 27 years as a firefighter, is retiring or retired on November 11th. On November 25th, engineer Roger France, with 30 years of experience, left. And then just last week on November 8th, engineer Richard Coleman, with 25 years of experience, retired. So we wish them well, each and every one of them, and they all served very well with the district over their time. We have some recruitments that are open for a firefighter, paramedic, a community relations coordinator, and a community risk specialist. All of those close at about the end of the year. We have some folks that will be changing around in EMS, and so we'll have a day staff position that will be coming in there. We talked to you a little bit ago. We had an opportunity to have a grant-funded position that was working under the UASI, which is the Urban Area Security Initiative for the county. They came to us and asked if one of our captains would be interested, and that is a fully funded position for 2 years. And Captain, John Runicki. We had a number of people, but John, we chose to take the spot, and he will start right after the first of the year. Myself and the staff have, as always, over the past month, have had a lot of different meetings with day staff crews and with the union reps. We met with the city manager of Citrus Heights, Chris Boyd, and the police chief recently, Ron Lawrence, over there. The week of November 28th, we had a series of meetings that had line personnel, the battalion chiefs, support managers and support staff, and then the command staff of ACs and deputies. And we spent the day in here and we talked about leadership, and we talked about the culture of the district, and we talked about what is our past history and where do we want to go into the future. And Chief Adam House facilitated those along with mission-centered solutions, and that was one of our first steps in moving forward with reinforcing the culture and the leadership in the organization. A couple last things. As tonight with the fellowship program, the facilitators and the program managers, Laura Bell from the IFC came out last week and sat and met with us. And we'll introduce to you in the future a guy named John Morris, and he is a retired captain from Fairfax. And he is going to be our liaison with the fellowship program, and he's going to come out and spend quite a bit of time with us to make sure that the relationship with the IFC and the fellowship program moves forward as we go. We had some employee appreciation and some holiday open houses. I went over to the 522 holiday social, and probably the last thing on here is tomorrow night we have a recruit class 17-2 graduation. 24 members. They'll have it over at Citrus Heights. Myself and the other chief officers had a chance to sit down and talk with them the other day. And we have some folks leaving on one end that were very sad to see that experience leaving, but talking to the young group that's coming in, I truly believe our future looks bright. And that ends my report.
Outstanding. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief on his report? All right, moving on, the operations report, Assistant Chief Hine.
And good evening again. I have the ops report for you this evening. Since November 9th, we have had a little over 9,000 total calls on the agency with 25 building fires. Our current deployment for the Ventura County event in Southern California, we have 40 members that are currently deployed there. We have 3 strike team leaders, 1 Type 1 Metro strike team of 21 personnel, a Type 3 Rainbow strike team of 4 personnel, and the balance of the other 12 personnel are on our OES engines. One of those Type 3 OES assignments will most likely rotate out those crews after 14 days, because of the possibility of a continued event down there. They're anticipating another wind event, and so they need to have units pre-staged in that area. The other members will probably return early next week, aside from that 1 crew that will be rotated out. And so a few members will be spending their time during Christmas. They're away from their families, being able to handle that event. On a professional development training note, there are classes that will continue on December 19 and 20, and the topic is going to be personal leadership qualities and maximizing performance. Chief Castros and HR Manager Melissa Maddox will be coordinating this training. On the EMS front, since November 30th, Metro Fire, we've responded a little over 2,500 calls, transported about 70% of the time, and on the AMR front, since that same time frame, 307 dispatches and transported 65% of the time. And so that will conclude my operations report unless you have any questions.
Do we have any questions for the chief? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Firefighters Local 522 report. Welcome.
President Wood, Directors, Chief Arms. I also want to echo what Chief Harms said about the firefighter down in San Diego. We have a lot of members down there, and they're risking a lot for another community. And it's when these things happen, it reminds us of what they're risking. So I do echo that moment of silence, and I think it's very important. January 1st, I take over officially. It feels like I already kind of have. My calendar speaks for it. But it's funny when you take over a job like this, you get a lot of negative. Way to be busy. Do you really want to do this? All this crazy stuff. But I'll tell you, I'm right where I want to be. I want to be here representing the membership. I want to get to know the board, relate with the chief and his officers, and represent the membership who's out there every day doing an amazing job. We saw that tonight. We know they're down in San Diego doing that. And I'm just very excited, humbled. I plan on meeting with all you and getting your contact information. And some of the stuff that comes to mind as you talk about the membership and the selfless acts and the different things we do. But it kind of reminds me of the other night I was working at 62 in Rosemont area, and the engine crew's out there doing the Santa thing, right? They're doing this super nice stuff. The community's loving it. But then they come back, and then they run 3 calls after midnight, selflessly. It's what we do. They don't complain. And I'm happy to be that guy who gets to come here and represent them. And I look forward to working with you. On the business side of things, we had a nice video today with the chief, myself, Ty, and Chief Harms, kind of a transition video. And then just going forward, I'm really looking forward to the cooperation, the labor management meetings. We got a lot accomplished this year, and I think the format will work. And I look forward to updating you on how that's going on our side. And look forward to a great 2018. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions? I just want to say, because 62 Rosemont's in my area, I know Rosemont really appreciates it. That community's active, and they appreciate Station 62 and everything they do. So thanks again for making the time to get out there for that event, and to the chief for allowing that to happen. Thank you. Executive committee, the new executive committee is going to meet Monday, January 11th, 2018, and they'll be sorting out who's going to serve on the various 2018 committees at that time. Communication Center, JPA, Assistant Chief Johnson.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Harms. We've met several times since your last meeting. Our last meeting was December 11th, at which time we appointed Joe Thusen as the interim executive director for the Comm Center. And we also appointed Kylie Soros as the interim Comm Center manager. So we're looking forward to their new leadership there. We want to wish Teresa Murray well in her retirement on January 12th. End of report.
Let's see. Any questions for Chief Johnson? Thank you. Moving on to the California Fire and Rescue Training JPA, Director Kelly.
Yes, the JPA met on November 16th. It was a special meeting called to accept a report that was generated by Chief Martinez. Chief Martinez had extensive knowledge of the JPA and Metro Fire, and so he put together an assessment, and we accepted it. We'll go through it carefully now and look at the recommendations that he's made and move forward. JPA will meet again January 16th.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Director Kelly? Moving on to the Finance and Audit Committee, Director Kelly again.
The Finance and Audit Committee met again this evening, and we received a report from the Controller, Mr. Empedrad, and we are 33%, 4 months through, 33%, and things are looking good. We're in our dry period right now and waiting for that dry period to be over and watch the tax dollars come in so that we can provide these services to the residents of Metro Fire.
Thank you very much, Director. Policy Committee, Director Gould.
Shockingly, no update.
Moving on to board members' comments and questions. I'll start to my far right with Director Gale.
Best of holidays for Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, and the rest of the holidays. The best of for everyone.
Moving to his left, Director Gould.
First off, I'd like to thank Director Wood for your leadership this year in 2018 or 17, and congratulations to the new executive team. I'm sure you'll do exceptionally well. We know we've had a good leadership team when we haven't had a lot of challenges as electeds, and this year was an example of that. So congratulations to you, Director Wood, and thank you very much for the extra time, and the rest of you, good luck. Also want to share our thoughts and prayers with the family of the fallen firefighter today. We can only just imagine the devastation that family must have, and anything this agency can do to lift that family up, we should do. I want to thank the men and women of this agency, regardless of rank or regardless of duty. Thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of this organization. We wouldn't be where we're at, and us electeds wouldn't get the benefit of having such a wonderful organization if it wasn't for all the hard work that every single one of you do. And I sure wish that if we have firefighters that are working on Christmas out of town, that there's a way we can do something extra special for them. You know, it's one thing to be working on Christmas in town, because I know the men and women are able to do some things. But if you've got to be 450 miles away protecting another community, that's quite a sacrifice. And I hope there's something this agency can do to make that particular day just a little bit more special. But thank you to all of you and all the work you do. Happy holidays. And thank you for this board for allowing me to be part of your team. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Director Orzali.
I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and I had the opportunity to attend the open house for 522, and it was a great event, and I appreciated the conversations that we had, and I look forward to working with 522 throughout the coming year. Also, I wanted to express my appreciation to Chief Johnson for the work that he has been doing. We met today with the Sacramento Regional Public Safety Foundation, and he has brought an opportunity to us that you'll be hearing much more about in the future. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Kelly?
I would like to welcome the gentleman, Mr. Alex Vasquez. I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Dornbush, France, and Coleman. Tell them to enjoy a wonderful retirement. I hope that everybody at Metro Fire otherwise known as the high-performing team. I hope everybody has a nice holiday.
Director Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank Brenda Briggs, the Community Risk Specialist, for helping us set up the, we have an event every year at the Starking Elementary for the kids. Are very much challenged, and when they see that fire truck show up with Santa in there, man, they just go crazy. And I also want to thank the crew, which was Captain Whaley and the crew of Station 110 for their assistance in that. Randy Young, also from the sheet metal local, that he plays Santa Claus, and Patty Patterson plays Mrs. Claus. She's from. Actually, this event has been going on for like 50 years with the fire service. I mean, it's amazing how long it's been, and every year, along with the sponsorship of the Central Labor Council. And it's just a great event. I mean, it's sad, but it resets you, and, where you start up, where you appreciate the health and your kids that are healthy and, and thriving, because those kids are very much challenged, and the teachers over there have a heck of a job to do. I so appreciate them. I also want to thank Director Woods for his leadership over the year. I thought you've done a great job, and I also appreciate. I also echo the sentiments of the words of Director Gould about thanking the men and women of Metro Fire. Thank you so much. You do a fantastic job. We're so proud of you, and we hope that you have a healthy and happy holidays. Merry Christmas, and so looking forward to a new year. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Director Sheets.
Good evening. I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I want to commend the crew that was recognized tonight. Also send our prayers to the crews that are fighting those fires and protecting another community. Thank you for the nomination. I'm excited about that. Best wishes for the New Year's, and I look forward to the graduation tomorrow.
The nomination was an election.
Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and your professionalism, and for staying out in front of all of our events and issues and topics for conversation. Appreciate it very much. Look forward to working with our new executive committee. Forward, always moving forward. Congratulations to Captain Wilborn and the crew for their outstanding service and performance. And I know that happens probably almost every day in this district. And it's the peer recognition is a very good way to acknowledge all this work, especially on behalf of everybody. I appreciate that. Congratulations to all the retirees that the chief mentioned. Had the opportunity to go to the holiday open house at the Comm Center yesterday. And I told them they needed to advertise it a whole bunch more, so that each director has the opportunity to go and see firsthand that operation and meet folks outside of the work environment. So that was a very pleasant experience, and I did happen to meet Joe and Kylie tonight at the 522 open house. Always good ground to be able to welcome people, renew old acquaintances, and continue with the work of fire safety issues that come up for the community, for the region. It's a great opportunity. Let's see, two or three more things. One is thank you for this board's support in the special district election for LAFCO. I will be continuing in that seat for another 4 years. And that also led to the I will be serving as chair for the California Association of LAFCOs for 2018. And I hope to represent Metro and our region and all the ideals of LAFCO for the charge that we're given for orderly growth and sustainable communities. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everything in between that and the solstice. Please have a happy and safe holiday, each and every one. Okay.
Thank you very much, Director. Director Barnes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Going second to last is no fun because all the good things have been said. But I will tell you that your leadership over the past year has not gone unnoticed, moving this not only as the board of directors, but working with the leadership of this organization to continue moving us forward and launching us in a direction and a platform that we're going on is exciting. Absolutely humbled by the nomination. It's my 4th year now going on the board. I can't believe it's been 4 years. It's really flown by, but it's been not only educational, but the relationships of all the board members, first-class professionals, and I appreciate all that, and I look forward to leading it into the 2018. As we approach a new year, there's new ideas, new opportunities, right? And as we grow, I look forward to those conversations, those partnerships, and our trajectory that we continue to do. To echo Director Kelly's buzzword, we say for the organization, I call it a first-class organization, but I like both of them together. But to think about what we do on a national level on the IAFC fellowship program, we're going to have people from Saudi here. We're one of, 7 agencies, I believe, in the nation. That's talking about leadership, right? You're actually trailblazing for our profession here, and I appreciate that. Look forward to hearing about that and the progress, and as that goes, that development is amazing how we can now be on a global platform. I have to say, as also we have a upcoming football game coming up next month, and I'm proud to talk about the Pig Bowl Guns and Hoses. But there is a crab feed January 13th. It's a great event. You go to pigbowl.org. Again, the recipients of this are local charities. The primary from the fire industry is the Firefighter Burn Institute. The game is on January 27th. We look for a very competitive game. I'll stay balanced and neutral for a little bit until we get closer to the game. I attended the 5-2 holiday party. It was real brief today, but it was great to see people actually working and mingling outside of the actual job. It's nice to see people build those relationships and strengthen them, and see people out of uniform and having a good time. As I say that, though, we talk about the realities of the profession, what happened down south. It is humbling to understand that people risk their lives on a day-to-day basis. We have crews not only there, but on the front lines locally that have to explain to their families that will never happen to me, and have to tell their kids, no, I possess a certain special skill or magical power that would never happen to me, so their loved ones can rest easy at night. And to sit back and think about how powerful that is, of the profession that the men and women of Metro Fire do every day. Absolutely humbling, it's noble, it's honorable, and to be part of it and leading into 2018, absolutely excited. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Going last is even worse than going second to last, because there truly is pretty much nothing left to say. I would echo everything everyone's already said, and like I said, it's been a very humbling and honoring experience to be here. I look forward to continuing in one of these other seats going forward. And just on another note, I got a message from the chief earlier today that started out, things don't look good, and that's never the way you want to get, that's never the way you want to hear something come from the chief. He did go on to explain that our crews were safe and everything was okay, but we did lose, the community did lose somebody today, the engineer from San Diego, the CAL FIRE member, and so we will close tonight's meeting with a moment of silence. I appreciate everything. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday and look forward to seeing you all in January. Thank you very much.
Thank you.